93.1 FM, Fargo-Moorhead.
Good afternoon, I'm Kyle Cornell, WDAY News First. Right now, a few passing clouds, 61 degrees here at our South Fargo studios. News this half hour.
Sergeant Mosier, Detective Heller, Detective Jasper, and Investigator Cordy's resort to deadly force was reasonable, it was justified, and it was lawful under these circumstances.
North Dakota Attorney General Drew Wrigley giving his decision today on the fatal officer-involved shooting of Andrew Martinez August 1st in Mapleton. Cass County Sheriff Jesse Johnner, who was the incident commander there, commenting on the officer's response.
I feel that the response in this situation was the appropriate response. I feel that everyone on the scene acted professionally. I feel that everyone on the scene did the best that they could to try to resolve this situation without anyone getting hurt.
After a near all-day standoff that began with gunfire, Martinez pointed his AR-15 out of the door at the officers and others in the area, resulting in him being shot and eventually pronounced dead. Again, if you want to catch the full story on this situation, you can head over to our website, WDAYradionow.com. And a volunteer effort is repairing the damage done by vandals at the International Market Plaza here in Fargo. The plaza housing nearly 20 immigrant-owned businesses in the city. Murals at the plaza were damaged earlier this month by people claiming to be with the white nationalist hate group, the Patriot Front. Volunteers removed the damaged murals yesterday, and several of the original artists have said they will repair their own artwork. I'm Kyle Cornell, WDAY, WDAYradionow.com. First with news when you need to know. Now it's time for Midday Weather and Ag in Focus.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon. 103 right now in the afternoon, 61 degrees here in Fargo. Starting to see a little break in that cloud cover, allowing some of that sunshine to come in, although we still have some strong storms rolling through the northern valley. And we'll touch on those as well as the forecast as we head throughout our show. But again, thanks for joining us. This is Weather and Ag in Focus. If you'd ever like to join our conversation or ask any questions, feel free to give us a call, 701-293-9000. Or you can send those topics or questions via email during or after the show to weatherorag@flagfamily.com. Also, you can find us on Facebook at WAG in Focus or Weather and Ag in Focus on there. Give us a like. We're giving our rain gauges away still. We're doing a big competition right now. It's a photo contest entry, equal chance of winning. All you got to do is like our post, submit a photo, and we'll be picking two winners for two more rain gauges at the end of September. So there's still some time to get in on that. Of course, we are going to be giving more of those rain gauges away in the future, and you'll just have to listen and follow us on Facebook to see how you can win those. On the show coming up today, as I mentioned, we'll touch on the forecast as we always do around our area. And then we're also going to start something new, as Dean was teasing on on midday, that we're going to take a little bit bigger look at the weather and what's going on across the nation, because not only are we on our website, WDAYradionow.com, and streaming live on our Facebook page, but we also have new viewers on Acres TV, and they're found all over the Midwest and the United States. We want to see what's going on with their weather as well, not just what's going on in our backyard, but we'll focus on both. As always, I'm here with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Ag Director Bridgette Readel. Good afternoon, guys. How's your day going?
He is going to let us talk.
I was just going to point out that he said we're going to focus on weather all around the country, because you never know where any one of us might be at the same time.
That's right.
We tend to move around a whole lot. And you're going to see me in studio today, and then you're not. The rest of the week, I will be in all sorts of remote locations.
Okay.
You guys are going to get very familiar with the interior of my pickup.
Where's the furthest you're going this week, Bridgette?
I'll be, if things fall together, you will be hearing from me between either Bremen, North Dakota, or Fessenden, North Dakota. Get out your maps, draw lines, see if you can find me.
We'll figure it out.
Yes,
we will. And as Justin was hinting at and saying earlier, there are some storms still. We picked up about 0.2 of an inch in and around the FM area, but we've got some strong storms right now going on in the Northern Valley from Logan Center through about Reynolds, and then just outside of Grand Forks through Crookston. And, those are approaching the Grand Forks area. So the Northern Valley still going to see some strong to occasionally severe storms possible for this afternoon. And we're going to see improving conditions, though, by mid to late afternoon. So some much-needed rain across a lot of the area.
Did you guys want me to say thank you? I got a 1/2 inch of rain Saturday evening. Appreciate that.
Excellent.
Glad that you're all listening
Did
to
it
me
help?
now and
Yeah,
then.
we've been seeing a little bit of rain up here as well. It was much needed. Our yard's starting to turn a little bit of that yellow brown color, so I know that this is going to help perking up that grass just a little bit as we head into fall. It'll be nice to get that root structure, a little extra water to prep for that winter season that'll be coming around the corner, and with all the rest of the crops out there too. Like Dean was saying, we've seen a lot of quarter-inch reports just from today, and we'll touch on how much rain has fallen where across the area as well when we come back after ABC News.
From ABC News, I'm Aaron Katersky in London. The final act of public mourning is about to begin for Queen Elizabeth, what's called a committal ceremony at St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. Flowers thrown by well-wishers along the route from London were still visible on the hearse upon arrival. Members of the royal family processed with the coffin to the chapel. The town is effectively closed. There's no more room for anyone. Huge crowds greeted the coffin for the final act of public mourning. The Queen lived at Windsor Castle as a child during the war, made her first broadcast to the nation from there, and stayed during much of the pandemic. And it is where she will be buried privately next to her husband, the late Prince Philip. From London, I'm Aaron Katersky. Now with more news, here's Sherry Preston.
In what must feel like a haunting anniversary, almost 5 years to the day that Hurricane Maria battered Puerto Rico, Hurricane Fiona has slammed into the island, taking down the power grid. ABC's Lucy Yang.
1.5 million customers now in the dark. With this Category 1 hurricane whipping winds up to 85 miles an hour and dumping 2 feet of rain on an already vulnerable infrastructure, President Biden has declared a state of emergency for this U.S. territory.
The family of a U.S. Marine veteran and contractor, Mark Frericks, being held hostage in Afghanistan for more than 2 years, says he has been released. Here's ABC's Chuck Sievertson.
Frericks is a 60-year-old American engineer and a U.S. Navy veteran. He'd been in Afghanistan for over a decade working on civil engineering projects when he was kidnapped in Kabul in 2020. No word from U.S. officials.
Frericks was reportedly swapped for a notorious Afghan drug lord. The number of people killed on U.S. highways continued to rise in the first half of this year, calling it a national crisis. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says more than 20,000 Americans died from January through June. Stocks mostly higher on Wall Street today. The Dow is up 51 points. You're listening to ABC News.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Hurry into the Energy Savings Event at Lowe's. Save energy and save money on select major appliances, including Whirlpool energy-efficient appliances. You can also use less water with WaterSense bathroom faucets, starting at just $19.98. Plus, find other great energy-saving items throughout the store and check your eligibility for rebates in your area to save even more. Don't miss the Energy Savings Event at Lowe's. Selection varies by location. Exclusions apply. Visit Lowe's.com for details. Valid through 9/28.
Hey, it's Jay Thomas, and I got to tell you, I'm hungry, and I'm hungry all the time. Listen, when I want to grab a hot and ready-to-go meal in a short time, I go straight to PetroServe USA. 12th Street in Fargo has hot lunches every day, plus the 4-for-4 breakfast burritos. Oh, man, they are fantastic. Snacks and so much more. And they are all over North Dakota, so no matter where you go, from Bemidji, Minnesota to Mandan or West Fargo to Wahpeton, there's a PetroServe USA near you with American refined petroleum straight from the Bakken and Canada, too. Get filled up at PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better.
Welcome to Oktoberfest in Hankinson. You are invited to participate in a Hammerschlagen contest sponsored by Lincoln State Bank from 1 to 3. As a locally owned independent bank, we understand the value and positive impact local businesses can have on a community. Whether your business is large or small, Lincoln State Bank is here to help you succeed. This Saturday, September 24th, 8 a.m. with fireworks at 9. Lincoln State Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
From the North Dakotas for Comprehensive Energy Solutions Studios in Fargo, it's WDAY Midday, your best source for news, weather, and agriculture. Your daily afternoon focus on weather and agriculture starts now.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with Bridgette Readel, our wonderful, talented Ag Director, and Meteorologist Justin Storm. If you have any questions for us, wondering about the weather or ag topic, shoot us a call, 701-293-9000. That's 701-293-9000. Or you can email us at weather@flagfamily.com, or you can email us at ag@flagfamily.com. So we're recapping. Let's recap real quick because there are still some severe storms in the far northern valley, generally just west of Grand Forks, right around Logan Center through Larimore. And then that band stretches through Grand Forks and then hopping over on the other side of the river through about Crookston and over towards, we'll call it just outside of Boston. Those storms continue to move to the east-northeast at about 25 miles an hour. So again, that's kind of right ahead of a warm front that's pushing through the area. And behind that warm front, temperatures quickly warming up here in the valley and across most of the state into the 70s, even a few lower 80s. Some rainfall totals from actually not last night, but from early this morning. Areas out around Streeter picking up about 0.6 of an inch. About a half inch in and around the Robinson area. There was also another pocket of heavy rain just to the east of McHenry. It looks like just areas just to the east of McHenry picking up, close to an inch of rain, it looks like on here. And then everybody else picking up about a quarter to a third of an inch in Daisy, about 0.2 of an inch here in Fargo. But you go over into Lakes Country, other side of the river, nothing. 1/100th of an inch or less. So basically just trace amounts over into Lakes Country. So this area started out around Jamestown and swept northeastward, and areas of the Northern Valley now starting to get in on some of the heavier amounts right now.
That's a big change. Usually Lakes Country has been really rocking up the totals the last part of the summer.
Yeah, we've so, a little bit of rain here, a little bit there. The far Southern Valley not picking up anything, and the far, far Northern Valley just starting to pick up that storm activity now. And again, that'll be moving eastward into northwestern Minnesota here during the afternoon, so we'll see improving conditions. And the rest of the week holds, well, not as nice weather in terms of temperatures. Tomorrow, not bad. Breezy, mid-70s. And then as we head into Wednesday, windy conditions, temperatures struggling to get to 60 with a stiff northwest wind, maybe a few sprinkles. And then by the time we get to Wednesday night, we're getting good indications we'll be in the upper 30s. No frost.
Don't you say it.
No frost. No. I could see areas of far northern Minnesota, maybe into the far northern valley, getting down to the mid-30s, but I think that might be pushing it a little bit.
Okay, well, we're thinking we're still going to stay out of that danger for right now, which is good. And we are definitely seeing a lot more movement towards harvest. If you just start looking at what's being moved around for equipment right now, and people are buying and moving headers, they're thinking ahead about what upgrades and changes, and if you are waiting for a combine, you're hoping it gets here right now so you can have that ready to go. Because we saw some combines last week, guys, and you understand how big those machines are now and how much time it takes to get that ready.
Yeah, and I
saw.
Go ahead,
sorry, Dean.
Go ahead, buddy.
I was going to say, I saw something of a brand new combine fell off a trailer. I think it was a couple weeks ago.
Devil's Lake, North Dakota, about 10 days ago, fell right off on Highway 2. Yes. Yep, that's unfortunate.
Such a sad sight.
That's a lot of dollars, and that's a lot of time down, because I was with an equipment company this morning who mentioned if you're going to place orders today, they are anticipating it could be well into next year before you see that piece of equipment arrive.
And we've got an interesting guest coming on here.
I was
reading some of this, and Bridgette and I were I'm like, no kidding. Wow, there's a lot of history that our guest is going to bring on board today.
This is quite the cliffhanger now, Dean. Okay, so our guest today will be folks with the Sioux Falls Stockyard, which has closed, but now they have the Sioux Falls Stockyard Ag Experience. It's a museum, and we will not only have Abbie Bischoff, who is executive director of that stockyard, but also Jim Woster. Jim is founder of it. He is also editor-in-chief for the Tri-State Neighbor magazine out of South Dakota, and he is a wealth of knowledge and information, incredibly well-written, well-spoken. Both of them will be on the line coming up here in probably about 6 minutes. And for those of you who thought you might have something else to do, not anymore. You're going to want to hang around to talk with these folks. It's going to be great. Because the stock in our heads, we think about the stockyards at West Fargo, at Sioux Falls. and the famed stockyards of Kansas City, Chicago, Denver. But why? Why were they a big deal? And it wasn't just cattle. And why'd they close? So you guys, there's so many questions.
I'm on the edge of my seat already.
And Dean was reading the article, and he's like, I had no idea. Well, today's your day, Dean Wysocki.
Yeah, so it's so we'll be having them on here in a few minutes. And if you have any questions that you might be thinking of now, or if you want to ask them once they get on with us, you can always call us. 701-293-9000 is our hotline. Or if you're a little shy, like Bridgette is, you can email us, weather@flagfamily.com or ag@flagfamily.com, and we'll answer your email on the air.
I would like for folks that are getting ready to combine, if you could use our Facebook page at Weather and Ag in Focus. I'd like to know what you're looking at for start dates on your combining, because I know that there are some soybeans south of I-94 that are probably going to give it a go this week. We've already had dry beans that have been harvested. What else are you getting ready to do? And it could depend very much on the rainfall that you just got, but some of this wind may help dry you out. And once we get that crop off, I know that there's plenty of ditching and tillage and so forth that's going to need to be done. So, I'm curious where harvest is going to start. That helps us get a feeling of how long our fall is going to be right now. That'd be great to hear from folks.
And you know what happens in 2 weeks? Christmas.
In 2 weeks?
Christmas for a meteorologist.
Okay.
That's the start of Christmas, because that's when the new LRC cycle will start.
That's going to be cool.
So we really look forward to that first week in October, and then the whole month of October as well, as this LRC cycle sets up and through October and into November, and then we'll be able to tell what the rest of the winter, spring, and the following summer will be like.
We currently have listeners looking at their calendar deciding what dates are important for outdoor activities, and they're already firing up the phone lines to say, well, as soon as October 1 rolls around, they're going to want to know, I have a wedding this weekend. I'm traveling on vacation. What's the weather going to be like? So you guys better have this ready to roll. People are going to want to know.
We'll do our best, right?
All right,
right, Justin?
Good.
We'll do our best.
So we have our guests coming up. We'll get them on the line here shortly. So don't go anywhere. Again, we'll have Abbie and Jim from the Sioux Falls Stockyards coming up right after the break.
There's a new force of nature coming your way. It has zero emissions, plus the rugged versatility of a Subaru. Presenting the 2023 Subaru Solterra with 8.3 inches of ground clearance and standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. This all equals money-saving safety and reliability. Check out the new Solterra today at Muscatel Subaru, just off Exit 1 in Moorhead, or online at muscatelsubaru.com. Love is now electric.
If you love helping adults with developmental disabilities and want to work in a culture with benefits nobody else can match, apply today at Red River Human Services. Enjoy a $17 per hour starting wage, health insurance benefits at 30 hours per week, quarterly wage adjustments, hourly increases after 90 days, and a possible $750 signing bonus. Apply now for this amazing position at rrhsf.org or call 701-235-0971 and see how great it is to work at Red River Human Services.
Brian Feuder with the NDSCS Apprenticeship Program.
NDSCS's apprenticeship program is really based on the typical apprenticeship models that have been in existence for many years. But currently there are over 1,000 apprenticeable occupations that are recognized by the United States Department of Labor.
Hi, I'm Dixie Bope. I'm the Director of Nursing at Four Seasons Healthcare Center. I encourage other companies to use the NDSCS apprenticeship program. They have a personal relationship with you. They help you out with advertising. They help bringing in new candidates, interviews, getting the word out.
Hi, my name is Pamela Morrow, Project Specialist for NDSCS Apprenticeship. If you're interested in a program, please reach out today by calling 701-231-6927 or go online to ndscs.edu/workforce-affairs and click on the Apprenticeship North Dakota tab.
See if the NDSCS Apprenticeship Program is for you.
Do you suffer from stiff, achy, chronic knee pain? Have you been told you have arthritis? Is knee pain keeping you from enjoying your favorite hobbies? If so, the next 60 seconds could change your life. Please listen carefully. If we find you're a candidate for our unique approach, we'll do a trial treatment, and day one, you will know without a doubt if we can help you. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-353-2230. And best of all, we may be able to reduce and even eliminate your knee pain without pills, shots, or surgery. But due to limited capacity, you must call now at 701-353-2230. Hurry, call now to find out if you qualify for our program that is changing lives and helping people save time, money, and agony. Call now at 701-353-2230. You have nothing to lose, so call right now.
And welcome everyone to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. We are thrilled that you have joined us today. I am Bridgette Readel. I am the Ag Director here, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Meteorologist Extraordinaire Justin Storm. And we have a fabulous afternoon planned for you with our guests. We have two. Abbie Bischoff. She is the Executive Director of the Sioux Falls Stockyard Experience and the founder of that experience, as well as the editor for the Tri-State Neighbor. Jim, please tell me I'm saying this right, Woster. Welcome, folks.
You got it right. Woster it is.
I'm so glad. Good. I read Jim's article regularly, and I was just afraid at the last minute I got it wrong. So, so glad to have you guys here. I read an article in the South Dakota Cattlemen's Association magazine that started the whole process of having you on our show. And I've had the article over here in front of Dean, my chief meteorologist, and we are just thrilled. Where should we start? What's the history that you both could share with us about the Sioux Falls Stockyard experience? What was the stockyard? Where did it come from? Where are you at now? Just keep going. We'll interject questions from time to time.
Sounds good. So this is Abbie. I'll kick things off. So our organization started back in 2012. It was an idea that Jim had, and he went to some folks at the city of Sioux Falls, and the stockyards had closed back in 2009. And he said, I think we should do something to honor the history of the stockyards. And with talking through the city and some other folks that were part of the stockyards, they had this great idea to build a museum. And the city of Sioux Falls said, before you build something, we've got a really great barn down at Falls Park that we think would be a perfect setting for that. So fast forward a few years, and in March of 2017, we opened our Stockyards Ag Experience Museum. And in that museum, we share the 92-year history of the Sioux Falls Stockyards, which we're here to talk about today, but we also have our lower level is a modern farm-to-table exhibit. So our community really wanted to hear the history of the stockyards. They also wanted somewhere where they could learn about modern farming practices, too. So that's kind of where our museum sits and how it started. Now, the stockyard started a heck of a long time before that, and Jim was around, well, not at the beginning, but Jim started his time at the stockyards back in the 60s. So I'll let Jim tell about how he got started at the stockyards.
That would be great, Jim. I'm looking forward to the history part of this.
Well, the stockyard itself started because John Morrell opened a packing house across the street in 1910 or 12, and in 1917 they opened the stockyards. I came in June of 1962 and just kind of fell in love with it, and it's the only job I could get out of college. My grades weren't very good. So anyway, I wound up staying there for about 46 years in different capacities, mostly in the cattle alley. But after we'd closed for a couple of years, it was such an important part of the city and of agriculture, and three of us got talking about, if we don't have something that to memorize, to put this into memory and some kind of a history thing, in 25 years, the next generation are not even going to know it was there. And we've got a portion in the museum that also talks about John Morrell and Company, now Smithfield Foods. But it was just, it came together. There's so many people in the city, like our main board member, John Jacobson, who's also an architect. His grandpa was a trucker at the stockyards. His mom and dad worked at Morrell. I mean, it was just there's so many people whose family history goes back to this place. And, of course, then it was a local marketing facility for Northwest Iowa, Southwest Minnesota, and most of eastern South Dakota. So it was just an important, and we called it an arm of the Sioux Falls Chamber of Commerce. Many people would come to town, unload the livestock, and come borrow our car and go uptown and buy something. So it was just, but yeah, it was, I wouldn't trade my almost half century there for anything. It's a great place.
And Jim, I grew up outside of Chicago, and you had the big stockyards there in Chicago. How does the Sioux Falls stockyard? How did that kind of compare to the Chicago stockyards?
When we were in our heyday, just to give you, Chicago was huge.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a good example. I was in there a couple times. They were just on the downhill slide, but one Monday, listen to this, one Monday, the Chicago stockyards handled 115,000 cattle, hogs, and sheep. The Sioux Falls stockyards, in its heyday, and this was big for us, we handled like 8,000 cattle, 7,000 hogs, and 4,000 sheep. But 112, that's how big Chicago was. And they were the premier, they were the marketing facility in the world. I mean, it was just, they had all the packing plants there. But I was just shocked when I saw that figure. There was a plaque there. I can't remember the street that was the main street by the yard, but they've got a big plaque. 112,000 head of livestock in one day. Wow.
So when we think about why did those stockyards come into fruition, what was the history of why the stockyards was built, whether it was Sioux Falls, West Fargo, Chicago, and other areas? What was their purpose?
Yeah, I think you found that rural folks that were raising livestock needed a place to sell it. They raised as much as their family needed, and they kept that, but then they had extra that they needed to sell, and they needed a place where they could find people that wanted to buy it. And that also allowed those farmers and those families to make farming more than just feeding their families. It was a business for them and became a very good business for them where they could come and bring those livestock. And then it also was really important for the city, too, because as those egg producers were coming into town, they were frequenting grocery stores or frequenting clothing stores when they'd come to sell their livestock. And so it was really kind of a, it benefited both the country and the city, a business model like the stockyards where country folks could come in and sell their goods and buy some stuff that they wouldn't necessarily get, and vice versa. So that's really how you saw those stockyards kind of rise to popularity. Just like you need a grocery store, you need a hardware store. Well, this was where you bought that livestock before it was the steak. So
as we think about what happened through the history of the stockyards, what led to the, I don't want to call it the downfall, but the closure of them? Because why were stockyards no longer found to be relative? If folks were bringing their stock in to sell, and again, you were cattle, sheep, and hogs, what made that change that you no longer were needed?
That's a really good question, and that's one. As it changed, back when I started, we represented so many farmers. I won't call them small operations, but mom and pop family operations, and that's what most of them were, that maybe marketed 200 cattle a year, 500 hogs a year, and they only did it 2-3 times a year. We provided a service that they needed, a professional service. We did it every day. We knew what we were doing because we did it every day. As they got bigger, as the industry changed, the small towns changed, as the person that fed 200 went to 2,000, or maybe they quit feeding, 10 neighbors quit feeding, and one feedlot. Just to be real frank, they didn't have to pay me to sell their livestock for them because they knew just as much as I did. The other thing was environmental. We were in a city, in the heart of a city, and that happened in Chicago and Sioux City and Omaha, St. Paul. As a city grew, and we were on city sewer and water. That wasn't the whole thing, and the city was good to us. So we tried everything, but environmentally the world was changing. But more important, just as importantly, and then the way that they were marketing. Quality of carcass became the main factor in what you were going to get paid for your cattle, hogs, or sheep, and it was hard to do that when they're standing there live, which is how we marketed. But basically, it just as the operations got bigger, and they quite frankly just didn't need they didn't have to pay somebody like me because they knew everything that I knew.
Well, folks, if you're just joining us, we are talking with Abbie Bischoff and Jim Woster, who are with the Sioux Falls Stockyard Experience and Museum. We're talking about the history of the stockyards, not only for Sioux Falls, but also the region. And we're going to catch up with our news and follow back up with further visits and questions. If you have questions, you are welcome as a listener to call us at 701-293-9000. Ask your history questions. And then also we want to visit about the Farm to Table exhibit that's going on as part of the Sioux Falls Stockyard Experience. We'll do that in just a few moments.
Harvest season is a busy one in the Red River Valley, with farmers working on harvesting their crops and with kids back in school.
Cass County Farm Bureau would like to remind you to take extra time to ensure everyone stays safe, whether working on harvest or transporting kids to or from school. Keep alert so no one gets hurt. Supporting safety on the air because they care. From your friends at Cass County Farm Bureau.
Welcome to Hankinson's 20th Annual Oktoberfest, September 24th in Hankinson, North Dakota. Taking the music, sidewalk sales and craft fair, carnival games, food, money hunt, beanbag tournament, fireworks, and more. Welcome from your friends at Hankinson Commercial Club.
There is another way to minimize your farm's risk and protect its equity with margin protection coverage. This is Bethany Rentz, crop insurance agent with Irie Insurance. Margin protection provides coverage against an unexpected decrease or increase in operating margin. In other words, we can put a policy in place to protect you from changing input costs and crop prices on your farm. Let us help you explore this option between now and September 30th to get you covered. For more information, go to irieins.com.
You're protected and appreciated at Irie.
The Jay Thomas Show.
Forbid. That sounds like Melinda Gates' new perfume.
Oh, yes. Was it Melinda Gates' perfume, Forbid?
Melinda Gates' perfume.
Melinda
Forbid.
Forbid. By Melinda Gates. Take that Frank's.
Put this stuff on anything.
I put that on everything. You ask my dog.
Even blank.
The Jay Thomas Show. Heard weekday afternoons at 2 here on WDAY.
Hey guys, Ryan here from Dave's West Fargo Tire and Service. Did you know that we offer full-service automotive repair and maintenance, not just tires and oil changes? With fuel and vehicle prices being high, properly maintaining the car you have now is more important than ever. Why replace what you already have? Let us help you keep your vehicle performing in top condition. Give us a call at 277-8618, on the web at davestire.net, in person at 1225 Main Avenue East in West Fargo. Stop by and see us. Your car will be glad you did.
Hey, Chris Berg here. Radio personalities like myself, we spend a ton of time and energy during the day, obviously in front of the computer. We're looking for news stories for you, talking to callers. So when the day is finally over, I get to go home and crawl into my Comfort King excited because I know I'm going to get a great night sleep. At Comfort King Mattress Factory, they build a mattress just for you. That's what they do. Comfort King has the only lifetime comfort guarantee. So buy local and shop Comfort King Mattress Factory.
Welcome to Hankinson's 20th Annual Oktoberfest, September 24th in Hankinson, North Dakota. Taking the music, sidewalk sales and craft fair, carnival games, food, money hunt, beanbag tournament, fireworks, and more. Welcome from your friends at Hankinson Commercial Club.
People with chronic lower back pain have often tried lots of different things, and most of those things just don't work, and they're searching things that do work. Non-surgical spinal decompression is a type of treatment done with a specialized machine that has very high success rates, and we're lucky to be one of the few clinics in the entire state that has it.
My name is Sydney, and I had debilitating back pain for 11 years. I went into the clinic to receive treatment. After 8 treatments, I had been feeling much better. After those 8 treatments, I was back to playing volleyball, golf. Dr. Z at the clinic helped me get back to the sports that I love.
A research study performed on low back patients that had already failed medical, chiropractic, and physical therapy, in other words, the surgery group, had a 90% success rate with decompression treatment. So whether it's chronic lower back pain, sciatica, knee injuries from running, neck pain, headaches, or shoulder problems, the clinic can help. Find us at theclinicnow.com. That's theclinicnow.com. theclinicnow.com.
And welcome back to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm meteorologist Justin Storm here with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And on the line with us, we have Abbie Bischoff and Jim Woster from the Sioux Falls Stockyard Association and Museum. And if you would like to call in and ask any questions or join the conversation, feel free to give us a call at 701-293-9000. Again, that phone number is 701-293-9000, or you can always send those questions or topics to weatherorag@flagfamily.com via email. And we did have a caller, Greg, call, and he wasn't able to stay on the line, but Jim, he wanted to know if you had any knowledge of the Fargo Union Stockyards or anything that was going on over there.
I just remember that Fargo was a part of the Terminal Market Association, and I was there one time, I don't even remember the location. They were in the process of starting to shut down. Part of the reason North Dakota they didn't have the fed cattle, the fodder cattle that we had in this part of the country. And the other thing is they had a lot of good auction markets around, that sold feeder cattle for people. But I don't know much about it, but yeah, I know that they were part of like the St. Paul, St. Joe, Sioux City, Kansas City, and all of those terminal markets. That I do know.
So, Jim and Abbie, if we think about where things were happening at the time frame, as you mentioned, farm families were bringing their sheep, their hogs, their beef to the stockyards, and they were being sold there. They were headed off to the packers or maybe loaded on rail and shipped somewhere else. Where are folks doing that today? We have some listeners who maybe aren't aware of how do fed cattle get moved around the country right now if they're just sitting out on pasture or out in a feedlot on farm.
Well, they're trucked obviously like most of the feeder cattle, the ones that would be sold to a cattle feeder, a feedlot for more feed, would go to the local auction markets. And trucking is there's no rail anymore as far as the cattle. When I came in '62. We were still doing. We were sending probably 3,000 hogs a week to Los Angeles for Clarity, but just a few odd cattle. It was just about the end of the railroads at our market for cattle going either direction. We had a few odd cattle went to Chicago on rail, and a few feeder cattle came out of Montana. But everything's on truck now. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of the guys own their own. There's a lot of truck lines that do it, but. Yeah, and then of course the fed cattle go to places like Tyson and Cargill and Omaha Beef and places like that, but they're all trucked.
Okay.
And I was wondering if you could touch on your farm to table exhibit. I believe that's with the museum. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we've got 2 exhibits in the museum. So if you come to visit, you'd come in our top level. And that's where we really have that Stockyards history. We go in chronological order from its opening in 1917 all the way to its closing in 2009. And then when you go down to our lower level, we really heard from the community, not only people in the community that have a farm background, but people that don't have a farm background. They're like, we want to know about modern agriculture too. So we kind of have 3 characters. They're not actual real people, but they've got names. Mike, Steve, and Lisa are their names, and they're 3 farmers that kind of walk us through the process of what it looks like to raise cattle or hogs or poultry, since those are kind of the 3 main animals kind of grown in our region anymore, and then also wheat, corn, and soybeans. So we kind of talk about how that process is from planting all the way to the transportation that it takes to get it from the farm to where it's going to get processed. We talk about the restaurant owners and the chefs that are working with local farmers to source their food locally and minimize that footprint that happens between farm to table, which makes it such a interesting thing for people or a practice that they try and adopt. So we just really try and show kind of any consumer, whether they're like I like to say, whether they eat bacon every day around the clock or they're vegan, we will talk to anybody about where their food comes from because it's likely coming from a farmer. So we always want to just, yeah.
I was going to ask, what's the history on the museum? Like, where is it? When did it start? And what all do you guys have at the museum?
Sure. The museum is down at Falls Park. We're in a historic barn down here that the city owns. The museum, the building itself, they're not exactly sure if it was built originally for horses that worked for the street department or the fire department, but it is affectionately referred to in town as the horse barn. It looks like a barn, but it's right down at Falls Park, which is the namesake of our city, kind of right across from our farmers market that we have here down at Falls Park as well. Museum opened in March of 2017. We've had pretty close to 30,000 visitors since we opened, even with a couple slow months there where people weren't going to interactive museums very much during COVID. But we were open and welcomed visitors. Gosh, we've had visitors from 30 different foreign countries and all 50 states so far. And yeah, we have a great relationship with the city and the Parks Department here, and really our mission is to connect people with agriculture. So whether we do that with our Stockyards history piece of things or whether we do that with our modern farm-to-table exhibit, we hopefully are connecting with everybody that comes through, whether they...
Right, and with...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can continue what you were going to say.
Oh, I was just going to say, whether that's people that grew up on a farm and they feel that nostalgia and they feel that connection to the museum and their personal history, or, somebody from out of state who's never set foot on a farm and they can walk away feeling like they know a little bit more of what happens on a farm in the middle of the country, that's kind of what we're aiming for.
Right, and that's super awesome because I don't come from any ag background or anything, but I love learning more about it, and we've been to a handful of conventions and events with ag and ag shows, and I've just been enjoying it so much, coming from no ag background at all and just getting to learn. So it's cool that that's a big focus down there. With a lot of the people that have been showing up at the museum and feedback from them, do you know what one of their favorite things is, or their biggest takeaway from the museum is?
Sure. I think a lot of folks' favorite exhibit that we have a kitchen area downstairs where people can scan any of our fake foods that we have in the kitchen, which we've got a full refrigerator and a stocked pantry shelf, and they can scan any piece of food that we have in our museum, and it'll tell them a fact about the food. Now, that fact might be where it comes from originally, whether it is grown in a tropical climate or in, more of an arid climate, maybe how much Americans consume of that certain food every year, or maybe some kind of romanticized fact about it, some kind of legend about it. But it's really interesting. Kids really engage with that. The grown-ups really engage with it, too. We'll get older folks that come in and their grandkids will start playing, and they'll stand there and they'll scan just about every piece of food that's in there. They want to learn all of it, and we love seeing that, right? We love people that have that inquisitive mind that want to come in and learn something. So hopefully people take away something from that kitchen part of things, but I also hope that people understand that farmers are doing their best to feed the world, and the technologies and things that they're bringing in to do that, that's always in the back of their mind, is that feeding people is always at the core of what our agriculture producers are doing. And so we hope we instill that in folks when they come. We get further and further apart from each other more and more, it seems like. And so hopefully when people are thinking about the food and their dinner table and how things end up there, they can extend a little appreciation back to our egg producers when they're having those meals.
And Abbie, are you guys open year-round?
Yes, we are. We're
Okay.
open year-round. We do have shorter hours in the wintertime just because it's a little slower. But we are open during the winter. We're open, I'll say Friday through Monday. So we're closed a few hours or a few days there during the week. But I work all day during the week. So if there's folks or groups, if you're coming down from Fargo and you might not be here during the weekend, give me a shout or send an email, and we can always arrange for special tour groups and stuff like that. But
Great.
Our website always has our up-to-date hours of the museum.
Okay. And Jim, with all your years in the stockyard there, is there any one particular incident that kind of stands out?
I think probably the one, the strike across the street at the packing house that really impacted us. We weren't a part of it, but because of this, the main drag runs right between the two facilities, and we lost quite a bit of business, and it got a little bit ugly. And then I think the other thing is we had one, and I don't know why this sticks out. Obviously, when you're handling that many cattle, the chances of getting hurt once in a while. But I think only maybe 2-3 times a year we'd have to call an ambulance. But we did get a young man.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that got killed by a bull out here, and for some reason I was just coming over the crosswalk, didn't see it happen. But that's 60. Well, it's almost 60. It's just fresh in my, I don't know. Every time I think about that, and you think about how many times things could happen. So it was, but I just remember that incident, and it was just one of the real tragedies that happens. And the place is like a family. I mean, when you're working that close together, even though you're competitors, it's kind of a one for all and all for one. But again, like I said, I wouldn't trade those 46 years for nothing.
Jim, I have one I have to ask. And so during his college years, my husband worked at the Stockyards in West Fargo in the yard, helping unload and, on sale days, that type of thing. And he always tells stories about their yard goat. They had a goat that they would use to load trucks for sheep. Did you guys have a yard goat?
I'll tell you what we did. So many of the livestock went across the street to John Morell and Company, and there was a tunnel that was built. When they built the stockyards, there was a tunnel that went under the street So we drove the livestock from the stockyards across under that tunnel, and to get the sheep to go, they had what they called 2 or 3 Judas goats, and that's what they would do is they'd beller and they'd turn them loose, and away they'd go, and the sheep would follow them. Then they'd come back and beller a little more, and they'd take off. And they would. That would work. That would work. And they used them down at the sheep division too for lambs that they couldn't get off the truck. So I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yep, absolutely. So if the sheep didn't want to follow, if you get one to go, they'll go. So the goat would literally lead them into the truck, and so he could load all the sheep, and then the goat would jump up on the backs of the sheep and walk out and leave, and then the truck left. It was great.
And as you know, sometimes they did not want to go.
Right. Yeah, they're a little obstinate. So.
Good word. I've heard other words that I can't use in the radio. Right. Word.
Those are working words, Jim. We'll save those for satellite radio. So we really want to say a huge thank you to Abbie Bischoff and Jim Woster. You have been a tremendous wealth of information and history for us as we talk about the Sioux Falls Stockyards and the Stockyard Experience Museum, and we greatly thank you for that. For those who are interested in visiting, please check them out the next time you're in Sioux Falls. We'll make sure that information is also available via our Facebook page, Weather and Ag in Focus. We will be back in just a few moments, and we'll continue talking about our regional weather and what that might hold for you, even across the nation.
Busch Light Apple is back for 2022. It's not a cider. It's actually a beer that tastes like apple and goes down smooth.
It's been a popular seasonal beer the last 2 years coming out with the apple harvest, and this is the third and final year they'll produce this beer. So if you've not tasted it, this year is your last chance. And if you liked it last year, then you better get to the liquor store before they're gone. Clear, crisp, light beer in the red apple colored can.
Find it in your neighborhood liquor store and take it home to your backyard or the lake. Busch Light Apple, get it now.
When farmers think Four Seasons, they don't think a singing group. They think Thor Building. So be it 95 or 25 below, whether you're in a wet cycle or dry, farmers and ranchers know that housing their equipment and livestock is vital to success. The team at Thor Buildings understands your need. They'll give you a contract upfront and guarantee that price from start to finish. There's a reason agriculture builds with Thor. So when it's time to put the hammer down, build with Thor. Check out thorbuildings.com.
Are you suffering from a serious dental issue? Your mouth hurts and you don't have insurance? No problem, because right now, Smile Solutions Fargo offers an exclusive membership program just for you that will help take away your pain and make your teeth feel and look great. For less than $1 a day, your membership program will give you a comprehensive dental exam and 2 teeth cleanings per year. And if you are suffering from a more serious dental issue, your Smile Solutions membership will give you 15% off all treatments offered at Smile Solutions, including cosmetic procedures, even teeth whitening. Call now at 701-515-9850. No dental insurance? No problem. Call right now to find out how Smile Solutions Fargo can make your teeth look and feel great for less than $1 a day on our membership program. Call now at 701-515-9850. Again, 701-515-9850. Call now.
Wheat markets find pressure with soybeans finding strength on Monday. This is the American Ag Network of Jesse Allen with this closing market update. Well, the wheat market saw its upward momentum cut short last week. Leading traders turned sellers once again with follow-through selling seen in today's market. Momentum trading algos, they piled on the sell orders as a strong dollar adding additional headwinds for wheat. Funds were sellers of wheat and corn on the day, while net buyers in beans and bean meal as the soy meal market was the first to turn positive this morning on emerging demand, pulling soybeans higher with it. Corn really caught in the middle with seasonal harvest pressure, keeping the feed grain in the red with mixed action there, mostly actually higher, kind of siding with soybeans on the day. Feeder cattle demand picked up a bit on the cheaper corn prices, while live cattle found some support as well on Monday. And the hog market benefiting from a sense that both the cash and the product markets are now finding support beneath them as well on the day, Monday. Final numbers on Monday: December quart up 1.678 1/4. March quart up a half penny, 6.83 1/2. November beans up 12 3/4, 14.61 1/4. January up 12 1/4, 14.67 1/2. October bean meal up 8.60 a ton, 438.20. Bean oil October down 66 points at 68 even. Chicago wheat December 29 1/4 lower, 8.30 1/2. March down 28 1/4, 8.46 1/2. KC wheat December down 25 1/2, 9.09 3/4. Spring wheat December down 22 1/4, 916.5. March down 18.5 at 927. October hogs down 42, 96.47. December up 17, 88.15. Feeder cattle September up 75, 179.95. October up 105, 182.30. October live cattle 22 higher, 145.72. December down 7, 150.90. February live cattle up 15, 155.25. You're listening to the American Ag Network. That's Closing Markets. I'm Jesse Allen.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with Justin Storm, extraordinaire.
That guy.
And Bridgette Readel, our wonderful, talented Ag Director. So we're going to kind of take a look around the nation right now because, well, Bridgette, you're saying cotton harvest is going on down in the Gulf Coast, right?
It is, actually. I've seen some pictures from Mississippi as well as Texas, Louisiana. So they are indeed bringing cotton off. It's getting baled up. Looks like giant marshmallows, actually.
So the last thing we want is a hurricane coming into the Gulf Coast.
That would be bad.
Yeah, that would be bad.
If you remember the hurricane that hit Houston, that wrecked a lot of cotton that year.
And we do have Hurricane Fiona out. Boy, it just flooded Puerto Rico. They picked up 26 inches of rain.
That will overtop our rain gauges, guys.
Wow. And that's hitting the Dominican Republic right now. That is going to stay out to sea. That will affect Bermuda, but that is not heading into the Gulf. And taking a look at some of the precip totals over the next 10 days, we're looking at, the Gulf Coast looking pretty dry until you get into the Florida Peninsula, where they're going to have anywhere between 1 and 2 inches over the next 10 days. Along the Gulf Coast from the Florida Panhandle through New Orleans, Houston, really not much rain at all, 1/10 of an inch or less. Once you get down towards Corpus, we're looking at wetter conditions. You're getting your typical monsoon moisture, anywhere between 1/2 inch and 1.25 inches from southern Arizona, looping all the way up through the Four Corners area into western parts of Colorado. We've got a storm parked off the west coast. This is good news because that's giving some much-needed rain to northern and parts of central California over the next 10 days. Not a lot, but upwards of a 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit more. The East Coast looking pretty wet from Maine all the way down through D.C. and into areas of the Appalachian chain where anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5 inches is likely. If we go down in the south central plains over the next 10 days, from southern Kansas and southwestern Kansas down through, let's say, Midland, Texas, over towards Dallas-Fort Worth and Little Rock, hardly a drop of rain, and those areas need it the most.
Well, and this is all going to matter when the LRC comes out, and we have to figure out where are those storms going to land, what's going to happen for hurricanes, because we have a lot of product that's got to move up the Gulf on barges and then back down again.
Right, and the northern plains, we'll touch on the northern plains into the Great Lakes. Not a whole lot of rain over the next 10 days, but we could pick up a 1/2 inch to 1 inch from the Red River Valley through most of Minnesota and into northern parts of Wisconsin. But the western parts of the Dakotas look pretty dry. So all in all, no big storms on the horizon in terms of anything that's going to be really impactful throughout the lower 48. That's good news in terms of hurricanes and whatnot. And the LRC did predict a very quiet hurricane season, and lo and behold, that's what's kind of panning out. And,
I'm happy to hear.
Yeah, and if you're new to the LRC, again, we'll kind of give you a little snippet on that. So the LRC is a cycling method that we use to forecast the weather year-round. The cycle sets up roughly it starts between October 4th and October 6th, so you can say the 5th, right around there. It could be a day later either side. So we'll look at what the upper air weather patterns look like that first week in October. And what we'll do is the LRC it's based on cycles. Astronomy goes on cycles, and now we're learning that weather goes on cycles as well. And we'll wait for that same pattern to come back around, whether it be 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, 60 days. When we see that same general upper air pattern that unfolds the first week in October, that's when we know that we have our cycle set, whatever that length is. And this last season was, 63.5, I believe, Justin?
Yeah, that was right, about 63 and a half, 64 days. It was kind of oscillating between 63 and 65 and a half days, but it averaged closer to 64, 63 and a half.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to have a request for all of you, because as we start to see the LRC set up, we've already witnessed so many increases in the energy sector, whether it was gasoline, whether it's been diesel fuel, electricity, et cetera. Propane is not insulated from that. And so the home heating season is coming.
Oh.
Prior to that, though, we want farmers to be stocking up on their propane, because if they wind up taking corn off, that's a higher moisture, and they got to run it through grain dryers, those are propane fuel driven. So we need that to happen before we get into that pinch.
Buy it now if you can, because the prices of propane and natural gas are going to, more than likely, they're going up this winter. This is before we even get to the LRC cycle part, but typically with La Nina winters, they can be very dry around here. They can be rather wet like they were last year. We'll see what this year unfolds, but 9 times out of 10, they're always very cold for the northern plains.
Okay, so for us, that means we're going to get into that pinch where we've got to have propane for dryers, but we also have to have it for home heating. So if our farmers are looking at doing their summer fill programs and filling now, so that we know during the winter months there'll be a priority given to home heating, we're going to want to fill propane now to be ready for those dryer systems. Not a lot of a lot of wet corn out there, but it can happen. Wet corn means if you put it in the bin, it sets up, you lose quality on the corn, but additionally it can lead to fires, and nobody needs that as well.
Right. And I think another good thing about harvest coming up is we don't see, there's one really wet day we have in the forecast that I see over the next 10, and that looks to be this Friday. Looks to be rather wet, but nothing overly wet, but quarter, half inch on top of what we got today. And again, we still need that moisture, so we just want it at the right time.
Well, absolutely we do. There's a lot of things we want at the right time right now. One of them is for a railroad strike to not actually happen. There's a tentative agreement with labor unions. That impacts us at harvest. It also impacts us bringing equipment. And also I'm more concerned about livestock feeders, making sure if they have feed that's moving on rail, whether it's soybean meals, et cetera, we don't want that interrupted, because sometimes they don't have very many days of feed on hand, and we want to make sure that that's going to the right places. So hopefully all of those labor union concerns are being taken care of, and we're going to get to a final agreement, not just a tentative agreement.
Mm-hmm. And wasn't it that if that were to happen, that it was estimated it would cost around $2 billion a day if that railroad strike were to take place with everything that's going on, and we'd need to add like over 400,000 additional truckers that are already in a shortage for?
That we don't have currently, yes. By the way, we have Craig on line 1. He's got a question, so let's hear what Craig's question is and see if we can answer it for him, guys.
Yeah, my question is, do you have any clue why at the grocery store right now they want $14.99 for a 10-pound bag of red potatoes?
For red potatoes on a 10-pound bag. So here's what, this is just going to be my guess, Craig. We had a potato harvest a year ago, wasn't very good. So we didn't have a lot of yield. And now as we went into this year, we haven't harvested, at least locally, our potato crop yet. So I think we might just have a supply-demand situation. Currently, it looks like our potato crop looks better. So you may see, especially as we approach the holidays where it's sales specials, et cetera, you may see a drop in pricing. Just I think of that as a regular shopper for potatoes. But I think it may have a lot to do with the fact that we had low production last year, and our storage ability was not very good either. Does that help, Craig?
You're the best. You're the best, and your show rocks. Thank you.
All right, thanks,
Craig.
We appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are winding up our time here.
I'm glad your brother called in.
Yeah, thanks. If I had a brother, Craig. Okay, so we are winding up our time. We really want to say thank you to everyone, especially our guests who joined us today and those who call Weather and Ag in Focus. We are thrilled to have you. Follow us on Facebook at Weather and Ag in Focus. Join us tomorrow. We have another guest, and that will be Nancy Jo Bateman. She is the soon-to-be retiring Executive Director of the North Dakota Beef Commission. Nancy Jo was there since its inception 38 years ago. She's going to help us talk about the beef checkoff and what that does not only for the consumer, but the producer. So the last 2 days all about beef. I bet we'll do different things in the next few days after that. So thanks, everyone. See you tomorrow.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM, Fargo-Moorhead.
Good afternoon.